right, season 3 in 3, 2, 1. We are back.
What's up? What's up,
How
everybody?
have you been, my friend? It's been a minute.
Yeah, I know. I've been really busy lately. But glad to be back. Glad to make more content for you guys. So, where you been? What's the deal with you?
Dying every day in Elden Ring.
An Elden Ring, yeah. How is that, by the way? You've been
Oh
playing
my
it for
god,
a while.
it's so good, man. I wish you could like play it. It's like I'm used to like soul style games, so I'm not too mad. But they're just like the bosses, man. They've just been like killing me like every day. I've been trying to like find like time during the weekends because like I'm so busy just with like school and work. But like I spent like the whole Sunday yesterday just playing Elden Ring. And it's really cool because it's an open world game, so you're not limited like in Dark Souls. But yeah, I've been trying to like up my stats just so I can like take. I'm on like level 33, I want to say right now. So
Is that
I've
pretty
been,
high?
Yeah, so well, not really high, but like I've been like rune farming just to like up my stats a bit. But it's a really nice game. It's like visually, it's so stunning. Like George R. R. Martin like put so much lore behind it. So it's really cool. But yeah, I've just been like dying literally every day.
That's
playing.
what it's about, I guess.
Have you been playing anything, or you been watching anything?
Yes, I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, I forgot that came out. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been really busy. I'm still like early on, but I tell you, it's a really beautiful game, and I feel like it's a worthy successor. I wouldn't say successor, but an awesome sequel. Yeah, if you get it on PS5, the graphics are like phenomenal. You can see Peach Fuzz and like even the faces and stuff. It's crazy. It's like
Oh, wow.
really crazy. Yeah, so
Is
it's
that
really
Unreal
great.
Engine?
Yeah, Unreal Engine. No, they didn't even use it for this, but imagine how it's gonna look like for Unreal Engine 5, like in the future, like Horizon 3. That's gonna be sick. That's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, man. Next gen is just around the corner. I'm telling you, like the games that are gonna come out this year, I guarantee are gonna be like high definition, like quality.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, yeah! I can't wait, and you could do a lot more too. I mean, it's the maps can be bigger, right? Even like fast traveling here is like super fast, which is so funny. Fast travel usually it actually sometimes
Right.
takes longer if you're fast traveling like pretty close, but like here it's like in a second. It's so fast on PS5 if you're like lucky enough to get it. But yeah, I can't wait to see what's coming next. It's a little bit of a dry spell of games, I think, but yeah.
It makes me excited for Summer Game Fest, but at the same time, not really, because for editing purposes.
When he says
for
on
our
Twitter,
podcast.
yeah, when Jeff's like, "Oh, coming back in April,"
Oh,
that was so. Oh my
I'm
god!
like the Leo meme, like when he's crying, like, oh god,
let me in,
fuck.
let me out, let me out. Well, we have so much too, also to review. Which, speaking of Summer Game Fest, we have Halo coming out really soon.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot.
You know, we have so much to do in March. Moon Knight as well. Obviously, that's
Moon
like
Knight.
a given. You
Doctor
know,
Strange, just from that trailer. I know we didn't talk much about it, but just like, is this Phase 4 now or Phase 5?
I think
of
it's
Marvel?
no, it's still. I'm pretty sure it's Phase 4, right?
I think it's still Phase 4 too, because I don't think they're done. Like they started with the TV shows, but they're not done yet.
Yeah,
It feels like we got a lot, like so much. Like even though it was only like 3 TV shows and maybe like 2 movies, like last year, it still feels like it was a lot.
yeah. It felt like a lot, and plus now the Defender series have came to or did they arrive yet? Or if not, they're still coming. Like you know, so like
I
Disney Plus.
believe they are. I don't know if they are already, but I know they're definitely going to be on Disney Plus. I think it was announced.
well,
So they are, claiming their property back. But I'm excited to see, them back with the Marvel. I mean, obviously they're canon now because of Spider-Man
Right.
and Hawkeye. But it just opens up a lot of doors that I'm excited to review.
oh yeah,
But this movie, hands down, one of my favorite of the DC. It's weird because it's still part of the DCEU, but it's not. It's like its own entity. I think
Like
we
Black
talked about
Label.
this. Yeah. So, but I really appreciate this movie, and also shout out to Akram's mom for my awesome shirt that I wore at the premiere.
There you go. That
and
looks nice.
almost went to town on some theater kids for ruining my experience, but
Voorhees,
but that's-
whatever.
we're not gonna talk about that.
Well, I'm glad.
Like
you
literally,
liked
like I was bawling my fit. Like these obnoxious theater kids just would not shut up, and like literally like the fucking Batman theme song was playing in the background like dun, 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 dun.
Oh no, that sucks so bad. That's what I don't miss about going back to the theaters.
Yeah. Well, they said this movie's gonna be on HBO, I think, in April.
Yeah, April like 12th or 22nd, I forgot, which is cool. I mean, it still took a long time. Remember when I think we were waiting for Shang-Chi a long time ago. We wanted to do a review, and I didn't go
Motherfucker,
see
you were
it.
waiting like for Ukraine to win the war
Right.
for that shit.
Yeah. I waited, dude, and then they postponed it. They said, yeah, we're just gonna like drop this here in November. That John was supposed to come out in 30 days, and it'll be in like 75 days. I was like, bro, we
You're
missed
like
that
Anakin,
chance.
like you lied to us. How many lies have I been told by the council?
Right. That was crazy. I mean, yeah, this movie was great, honestly. I am so happy that they took like a gritty, realistic approach too, which we'll talk about a little bit later in an actual review, and that's awesome. I think Matt Reeves did a phenomenal job. Everything, design, music too. Awesome movie. To be honest with you, you guys haven't seen it, go see it now. It's well worth the watch, I believe, and especially if you're a Batman fan too. They kind of like do some twists and turns that I think you'll really find refreshing, and you'll appreciate it a lot.
Just don't watch it in my neighborhood because it sucks.
And Voorhees or whatever it was like called. It was Voorhees. That's no
Just
wonder.
don't watch it in Jersey. Period.
Yeah, just you gotta go to like somewhere else. I don't know.
Fucking, I don't even say New York or California. Or
That's even no. New Jersey's still worse. I'd say.
I'd rather watch this shit in Ukraine than fucking Jersey.
Oh no, you're about to get us canceled.
Hey everybody, Dylan and Akram here. Welcome back to the lunch table where we digest the latest media and entertainment news and give you our reviews, our predictions, and our breakdowns of your favorite content. Starting off our third season, we're happy to give you guys another movie review with what seems to be the biggest movie so far of 2022, Matt Reeves' The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson as the world's greatest detective as he tries to figure out what kind of crime fighter he wants to be. Joining his colorful cast, obviously, is Zoë Kravitz, Paul Dano, Jeffrey Wright, Colin Farrell, and Andy Serkis. Akram, so far, the Batman has been critically acclaimed for its cinematography and unique take on The Dark Knight. But let's jump into this review. So let me hear what you thought of the Batman.
Yeah, I like, honestly, hands down, this is like, and I know it's kind of like biased to say, but this feels like one of my favorite Batman films. And I think that's completely fine because it's such a fresh take. And I think many Batman fans, especially keeping up with the DC comics, they pulled so many elements from different things like games and obviously comic books and other movies as well. So I can't wait to discuss this. I was going to say Christian Bale. Sorry, Robert Pattinson did a phenomenal job on this take. It's such a grungy movie, and it felt very similar to the Joker, which I was pleased because I'm a huge fan of that movie as well. But yeah, without further ado, why don't you give us your thoughts?
Well, I have a lot of good things to say about this movie. For anybody who had doubts about Rob as Bruce Wayne, drop all your doubts now. I can proudly say that Rob's solidified his place in a long legacy of Batman. He just feels like so calculated, but also so very like raw and gritty. This definitely isn't the Batman we're used to seeing on screen. That's like, I guess, more of a veteran, crusader. This Batman's definitely like, he's even said it's only been like 2 years. He's been really been a crime fighter. So he's still a novice. He's still learning the ropes. But I love his performance. The whole cast was just amazing, and the cinematography, it was, I know a lot of people are talking about it, but it was so beautiful. Just like the visual ambiance was so defined. Like Gotham really felt like it had its like own character. Like it was so like noir inspired. You could see like a little bit of like Sin City or like Watchmen, or even like that old movie like Seven, with like that was like that serial killer movie. So that's kind of like the vibes I was getting from this movie. The score and the soundtrack are amazing as always. From Ave Maria to Something in the Way by Nirvana, and the Batman score, of course. Everything was like, it blended well so together. But those were just my spoiler-free opinions. But let's get into the nitty-gritty. So why don't you take us what we see starting off?
Well, first of all, I just love any title card like right there before any movie plays. It means that we're in for something a little bit more fresh and a little bit more intimate. And that was huge too. But yeah, we see who we not really clear who is looking through the binoculars, so spying on the mayor of Gotham. And while the song playing Ave Maria, and that's in a way, if you will, kind of like a motif in the film. And so that's playing, and we're seeing, which I thought was really funny too, because usually in Batman films you do see like the birth of like the bat, right? Or at least like when Bruce Wayne loses his parents. But here we actually see a child, right, pretending to be a ninja and killing his father, fakely, of course. And so yeah, this whole sequence was in like a really Zodiac killer type of style, like shocking intro to the Riddler, played by Paul Dano, and I think he does a phenomenal job. And it really was really spooky as well. So yeah, so skipping forward, obviously, the mayor is in his office watching an election on the TV, watching himself at least, and yeah, so he ends up being killed by the Riddler himself with a copper tucker, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well, because the Riddler like planned everything throughout this movie, and I was just shocked of how competent he was, because usually in the comics he isn't like that much of like a competent, I don't know, a criminal at least. I mean, he had his moments, but here he was like, he led the way for basically for the whole movie, right?
It was so crazy because that whole scene took place on like Halloween night, and I kept thinking back to like Halloween, like because like with the first time you see Riddler on screen, it's like he's almost like a silhouette in the background, like the mayor, like you see the light from the TV on him, and then he moves aside, and then all you see is just like the frame of the Riddler's glasses, and his eyes are just like subverting back and forth. So like, he felt like he had like very like Michael Myers vibes.
Yeah.
Even like there was like times where like he would like wait in the car for like somebody to like come in, and then like strangle him from the back or something. He just had like such like you said, like Zodiac killer vibes to him. But the performance was phenomenal. I mean, I was terrified. Everything he was doing, from his his traps to his phone calls, like everything just like scared me. But yeah, continue. Like what else happened next?
Yeah, and then we get a little bit, I believe, probably homeodiegetic dialogue, I'd say, or narration from Bruce Wayne afterwards, and that kind of sets the tone and the mood of Gotham City. This very realistic approach, akin to the Joker city. It feels very well lived in, and also this approach to Batman as well. I mean, he's been Batman for 2 years, but it feels really, really well lived in as well. Like he's been around for a little bit more. Like we're kind of catching up with somebody that's like a real person, and I really appreciated that. And everything counted. The set or the characters, the costuming, and the awesome soundtrack. So yeah, so he's given off this narration. Bruce Wayne is, at least, and I like the little tone and shift that he does in his voice as well. Like he's talking kind of like Bruce, and then he kind of simmers down to like the Bat, and I really thought that was cool. Like this transformation that he goes through. And so yeah, and that thing reminded me so much of Watchmen as well, Rorschach. Just that, and Year One Batman as well. That little narration that he gives.
Yeah, which is heavily, I think, inspired.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like Long Halloween and Year One, I think, are what Matt Reeves derived a lot of the story elements to this plot, which I think was a really nice touch. It's very different. Like I said, it's not what we're used to seeing. Because they brought a lot of like the detective elements, which I really appreciated. Because normally I think we're so used to seeing like the brawler side of Batman that sometimes we forget that sometimes he actually has to like solve cases and use his own piece. I know he has like a lot of like technology and like computers and stuff, but like sometimes there are like little things like he has to use his own, wisdom to solve too. And I love also that Alfred was also like very smart in this too. Like he actually was like helping them like solve cases and stuff. So I love like the relationship between Andy Serkis's Alfred and Rob's Bruce. I think they're really nice. I think the chemistry was there. It kind of felt like Michael Caine and Christian Bale in a way. Just like he's still like the fatherly figure that still makes sure is like that Bruce is okay, even though he's out every night fighting crime. But I love the buildup that they set for his Batman, just like that, because I love the way they set it up. It was like he said, like he's doing like the voiceover and he's talking about like how he's been doing this for like 2 years, but he can't be everywhere, right? So he kind of has to like feed the idea into criminals that he can be everywhere at once. Like he's kind of like what Christian Bale said in Batman Begins. He has to be something more. He has to be something like elemental. So like the shadows, like every time they looked around the corner and they saw the bat signal in the sky, and then they just looked in the corner, like, is he there? Is he not there? And then he's like, no, I am the shadows. I thought that was just like visual, like that's such a great like storytelling element. Just like giving the idea that like even though he's human, he can still be an idea, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point of Batman as well. I mean, in the comics, which is funny because every time or every week there's a comic book, and then also there's like spin-offs, and Batman's like in Nigeria, Batman's in Alaska, like all in one day.
Fucking Mars or something.
Right, all in one day, and it's supposed to take place like in the same week. And here, again, Matt Reeves' approach is gritty realism, right? And many movies like 28 Days Later take this approach, even with the gadgets that he has. He's been here for like 2 years, but he's so worn out already. So he has to use this technology, which I really thought was a cool, I'd say maybe just a cool idea. Like he has to record everything through that little islands thing.
That little island, yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, that whole intro, that whole build up was really great. And also I think it really sets the theme as well, where he's vengeance, right? A lot of people has called Batman here vengeance for some reason, even if they really even if he said it like once to some gang or whatever. But I thought that was really cool that it's almost like a metamorphosis. It's a lot like the Joker, to be honest with you, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But everyone kind of transforms or realizes a new ideal that they need to instill in themselves and have other people see later on. And so, but yeah, going back to that intro, obviously he beats up the gang, right? That the face painted gang, which I felt like the choreography was so great. Anytime there's like a standstill camera, like the Raid or something, I'm always like a big fan. It's not like the Bourne series or whatever. And we get to see also more of that bulky suit, and it has so many features. It feels like so many like gadgets are integrated in it. Most specifically the gauntlets as well. It's like, so like you have taser, you have whatever you have.
That armor took a lot of beating like this whole movie. I mean, he was taking like automatic fire. He's taking shotguns to the chest. I was like, damn, this like how much like the whole budget went into that suit, I guess.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. But it's still so realistic as well too. I mean, we saw later he took off the cowl, but it is just like a regular leather cowl. There's no like neat tricks to it as well.
I think too, like they didn't have to go into too much detail like they had to did in the Nolan films, because that was like an origin story. But here he's kind of like already set up. We already know a lot about like Batman's suit and stuff, so it's more focused on like him, his methods as opposed to like his, I guess his weapons or his suit. But I love that scene you're talking about, like with the gang, because like every time he fought like a bunch of people, it wasn't like he would beat up one guy and they're all just waiting to get on him, and then they would jump in when somebody else isn't. Like they were all on his ass, and then he was like fighting them out. Like they were grabbing his cape, he was doing a lot of shit that I thought was like I don't know, the choreography was just really nice in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree for sure. It reminded me so much of Daredevil as well. He has a good like form, I'd say, in boxing. He's for sure the detective, but he's also definitely a brawler. I feel like kind of like similar to like Christian Bale's, because he wasn't like doing like these neat tricks in those films, but like at the same time here he's more like akin to like I'd say Daredevil. It seems like if I'm watching Daredevil. So that whole
you mentioned too, I think I think Alfred was the only like real trainer, I guess, for like his combat. So he's not really like, he's not doing too many like martial arts stunts. So like he is kind of doing like a more like boxer or like brawler martial style.
Yeah, so that's the redesign, and I found that really crazy because I'll just say it right now, in a way, everyone kind of failed, like Batman in a way. I'd say in a way, Riddler. I mean, it's just jumping right ahead, but like it makes the point more clear. In a way, Riddler won, but it's kind of like the Phoenix rising through the ashes as well with Batman and other other, I'd say, team members at the time. And it's so funny because, yeah, so Alfred trains him because obviously originally Bruce would train all over the world. If you guys want to check a cool animated movie, I'd say like Gotham, I think it's called Gotham Knights or something, right? I forgot what it's called. Gotham Knight, I believe. It's like the anime. And that kind of shows like him getting training for like pain and different techniques. I mean, obviously here he's just learning how to street fight in a way, but like with more and the comic books as well. Alfred was actually a spy. And so we're not really sure if he's a spy here, perhaps, and that's why like he taught Bruce so much. But like everything, Bruce isn't even like a really great detective. I mean, he figured out a lot of stuff, but he's always like the Riddler was one step ahead. And I felt like everything catered toward that realism of that. Yeah, this is year one. So going back to the suit, or year two at least. I'm interested to see how it'll kind of evolve later on. Like, I don't know if it'll be like something like this, but you know, something a little bit more slimmer probably down the line. I don't know. But anyway, off, enough with my tangent. So tell us more what happens next after that big brawl.
Well, after that, so then Detective Gordon, is he detective or commissioner? I forget.
I believe he's detective. I don't think he's commissioner yet. I think he will be, but I could.
He
be
will
wrong.
be eventually, yeah. But yeah, Detective Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright, who I thought was phenomenal, and it was so funny because I kept thinking back to when he used to play like a bad guy in a Boardwalk Empire. Right. So it's such an antithesis to that character. But yeah, he did a phenomenal job as Detective Gordon. So they kind of they're already at the crime scene where Riddler's first victim is, and I love the confrontation that Batman has with the Gotham Police Department, because they explore that in like some movies, but like here, like you can tell like they really like hate Batman. Like he is like everything they stand against. Like they even call him like vigilante to his face. Like the one guy like even stops him from like coming to the crime scene. He just gives like the really like, do you know who I am? Mm-hmm. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, so they're at the crime scene and they're exploring, you know, Riddler's clues. You know, he's leaving like a lot of like cryptic messages, kind of like Jigsaw in a way, or like the Zodiac Killer. And the first thing I think the first riddle was like it was like, what does a liar do when he's dead? And and then he's like he still lies. So I love the little like riddles that he has to solve. I like, everybody complains that this movie was like 2 hours and like 30 minutes, but I could have watched like another 30 minutes of him just like solving riddles and shit.
Same.
Like if he was feeling Arkham, he should have got all the Arkham Riddler trophies.
Yeah, I know. they were great, those riddles, and they lasted a long time. Like he lies still, and then we're gonna keep going and dig, and then thumb drive and stuff like that. Thumb
drive, yeah. When he cuts the thumb off, and then he attaches it to the flash drive. I thought that was like so clever. It's like almost as comical as like something Joker would do, like in a way. But it was in a very like calculated style, which makes it more Riddler's thing. But going back to that scene, I also love like when he was staring at the kid, because you know the kid just lost his father, so he had like and Alfred even saw it through that camera lens that he saw. Like he knows, like, you know, because you know Bruce obviously lost his parents, and I love what they did with Batman's parents in this. We're gonna get into it more later, but I love that scene he shared with the boy. It's like I get it, what you're going through. But yeah, and then we get like, you know, they have to do a press statement, and then I love this scene where like it's daylight and you get Nirvana's Something in the Way, and he's just on the motorcycle driving through Gotham. I thought that was a great shot, like his perspective, point of view. But yeah, and then he goes to Batcave, and then, you know, we see Alfred there, and you know, he's trying to like solve I love how they did it too, like trying to figure out his first message. Like they were trying to figure out the alphabet cipher, but it wasn't more about the alphabet. It was actually like what it was saying, and it said like drive or something. And then like they had to go to the car, and that's where they get the thumb drive, obviously. So there's a very like elaborately weaved story like going on, and it has to do with you know, this big sting that happened with Sal Maroni. So the Gotham Police Department, I think, is like involved in some like corrupt shit, and apparently like Riddler's like trying to expose that. He's trying to like get the truth out, and that really is like Riddler's motif, right? He's about truth, right? Whether or not it's like good truth or bad truth, he just wants answers, right? But yeah, tell me more like what you thought, like seeing more of like Gotham, and then obviously we get like Selena Kyle played by Zoë Kravitz. She was amazing. Oh my god! And then Penguin.
Yeah.
I know I keep jumping around the characters.
No, it's
but
true.
like,
They're all great. Yeah.
they were all great, man. Just like I couldn't even recognize like Colin Farrell with the makeup. Oh my god! I had to like all the budget had to go to that makeup.
That's gonna win an
'Cause it was so
Oscar. Yeah,
unacceptable.
yeah. I know for sure. Yeah, no, no, that whole sequence was great. It's so grunge again, like, and that's funny. Robert Pattinson plays a Batman that's like so Kurt Cobainy, you know. Even like when he puts on the shades too later on, like it's so funny because he says he's more used to the to the dark now. He lives in the shadows basically, and it's so funny that now his eyes kind of that'll be like a part of a semiotics a little bit later too when we get to explaining the end of the movie as well. But yeah, that whole scene was great. And also Zoe Kravitz, I think she's amazing as Catwoman. Possibly one of my favorite Catwomans, honestly. Like I'd say like Arkham Catwoman, and like this one's probably like my two like faves of portrayals of Catwoman. And yeah, Penguin is so good here. Colin Farrell like is submersed in that role completely, and that makeup
His
looks
dialogue was so natural.
yeah, it was so great. Even the Iceberg Lounge that we get to, it's so like realistic, you know what I mean? It kind of looks like you're in somewhere like here in Philadelphia in Kensington or something like that. It's like that's where it's located. It's like it's so grounded, man. And those two twins, actually I think that I don't know their name, but I think that they were in
Was that
Teen Wolf.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum?
Oh, that's a good point. I don't think so. I don't know, but maybe that's
The
actually
Mad Hatter's henchmen, right? There could be like Easter eggs drop like throughout this film.
It could be like some obscure reference. I don't know, but like I know that they were in Teen Wolf, so it's kind of cool to see them back again. I haven't seen them get work in a while. I don't know. So
They upgraded.
and we'll talk about this a little later. But I love the little scenes where like he says, "Do you know who I am?" And he said it like 3 times, and then the third time, or at least the last time, he kind of gives up and sneaks past. That was so
Third time's the
great.
charm or the harm. I guess.
Right, that's us. Yeah, I know. So like that whole thing. But yeah, I think the main point too is he's trying to track down this girl that he's seen like some photos of the mayor leaving with some woman that she's like a Russian woman or whatever, and she's wearing the same I'd maybe like fake leather, I don't know, like those shiny boots that Catwoman Selena is wearing as well. And I just like that whole scene where like they kind of interact as well. Like, you know, the eyes, mijo, you could tell everything by the eyes or whatever, that Scarface line, I forgot. But it's like, you know, you kind of see that like attraction that Batman has for her, just looking slowly, but also like he's still the Bat, and he's like looking at a little bit of evidence as well. And that ties in with the ending as well. When he makes his choice, like what does he do? Everything ties in so well. It's poetry. It rhymes, right? But tell me what you thought about that whole scene in the Iceberg Lounge as well. I thought that was so great, just the choreography with that big fight.
What, the first one when he's
The
when
first
he's Batman?
scene, yeah, when he's actually there and he's like fighting everybody.
I love the line when he was like God, what did he say? He's like do you want blood on your costume? He's like, mine or yours.
Yeah, I know. I know.
That was such a cold ass, like that was like some Mandalorian shit. Like, I can either bring you in warm or I can really bring you in cold.
He's probably like one of the most well, Ben Affleck's Batman and him, I think, are like top tier, like badass, I'd say. But yeah, what did you think about that?
Yeah, well, like that scene was like, the choreography was amazing. I love how he fights. Like, even like he'll like use his grappling gun like during fights too. Like, it's not just like him like throw. I don't know if we saw any like batarangs in this movie. I kind of wish maybe they'll develop them more in the next movie.
Yeah,
because I didn't really see like any like batarangs thrown around, but that's okay because I've seen like those in other films. So I like his unique style of fighting because he's more like a brawler, like I said. But yeah, so he's trying to get into the club. And then Penguin shows up and he's like, "Hey, sweetheart!" Like,
yeah,
his little like Tony Soprano like dialogue.
Yeah,
But I love like the interaction that he has. It's so funny, like when you watch like different iterations of like the Penguin, whether they're like animated or live action. Like each Penguin like feels unique. Like Danny DeVito obviously was like the more comic accurate Penguin, but this Penguin feels like a mob enforcer. Like, I feel like he could be like an actual like dude, like in a mafia movie called
Saints
The
of
Penguin or
Newark.
something. Yeah, say like Saints of Newark or something like that. But then like that scene with Penguin, that's when we actually see that Zoe Kravitz's Selena Kyle walks in, and she sees like the picture that Batman puts of her friend, and that's how he puts 2 and 2 together, that she knows who he is. and then he follows her, to her apartment, and I forget the scene before that. I think she was robbing something, right?
No, he tracked her down, and I just love the fact. I just want to mention this briefly because every time he's like in the streets, he like changes real fast, and it's
Oh yeah,
so. Let me tell you guys, I'm a big collector, as you know, and you saw from that episode. McFarlane, when you guys saw the Drifter, Bruce Wayne, I think it's called, and it looked like big body ass, and I thought it was so silly, like Hobo Bruce. It's not that. There's a purpose, and it's because
it
he's
makes
hiding.
sense.
Yeah, he's hiding
Right.
the suit underneath,
There's a
and
reason.
yeah, and even the eye makeup stays. It makes so much sense. But yeah, no, he watches her through the window basically, and it's so funny that there's so many parallels between the Riddler and Batman here,
I was
and
thinking the same thing. Yeah, because like
yeah.
that scene where he's looking through the window at Catwoman, and then like it's kind of like calls back to the Riddler in the first scene. Because I thought the first scene actually was Batman in the
Me
beginning.
too. Yeah.
When he's looking through, I thought he was doing like a stakeout or something. But
Right.
then you hear like the heavy breathing, and you're like, okay, this might be something more menacing. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many like similarities between the Riddler and Batman, and the Riddler tries to explore that, like too during the interrogation scene later. But that's jumping ahead, going back. So yeah, I think like he follows her, and like I love like her style, like when she's like breaking the safe. She feels so comic accurate. I think even her costume, I think was it the Long Halloween or was it
Well,
year
not
one?
their own iteration. I mean, it was still like a cat suit, skin tight cat suit. I love how it's like they kind of went the same route what they did with Anne Hathaway, where it kind of is the silhouette of the cat ears. Here, it's just a
Hmm.
ski. It's a
Yeah, it's
ripped up
subtle.
ski mask. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a pretty fucked up ski mask. I
but
don't
she
know
even
what's.
has the bullwhip too, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was pretty cool as well. Like some choreography we see later on. But yeah, I love how fast she is and so delicate with the safes as well. And that
Hmm.
whole fight scene as well. That Batman he eventually meets up with her and they kind of fight. Obviously,
They
um,
flirt and they fight and they have that whole chemistry together. I thought their chemistry was really good.
very comic booky. Yeah, here it was like very comic booky. It felt like it a lot here. Yeah, so
And that's
there's a
what I
lot.
love about this film, because it actually feels like it was like derived from like the comic books. Like,
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, I love like Nolan's interpretation. It was very modern. It was very inspired by like real events, but this like Matt Reeves like knows how to like make Gotham have a presence in a way, and it kind of like feels like you're almost like you're immersed, like you're like you kind of want to be the Batman, right? You kind of like you're involved in these detective cases, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's going around. They're trying to find Selena's friend, and then like we get like this scene where like the Riddler, like he's watching the news, and the Riddler has like disturbing messages like posted on social media, which I thought was like really like akin to, I think this might have been like a throwback to like Joker in Dark Knight when he's posting like his hostage videos. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, I thought, and it's just really relevant as well. I mean, everything now is with social media, right? I don't know if he was like in some private forum. He was probably on Discord. He was like, if they had like a chat feature where like they're in
He
the
was on
side.
TikTok just like doing a live stream, like, "Hey
That's how
guys, what's
TikTok
up?"
is nowadays, anyway. It's like there's some really scary stuff there.
It's dark web shit.
Yeah, I mean, no, that was great. It was really relevant. Today's day and age. I mean, at least later on when we see that on the news. Yeah, I mean, he, in his mind, and that's the great thing from like great villains. They think that they're the hero, right? He's the vigilante, and if you think about it too. Later on, he kind of like fucks it all up, but I'd say like he kind of is like this anti-hero a little bit. You would think in the beginning, like he's just taking out like corrupt police officers and stuff like that. Later on, I think where he really like he does great things with his hands and it messes up with his feet. And I really felt like like later on we'll see like he really fucked it up. I was like, damn, he's gonna go to that extent.
Right.
But yeah, no, the whole thing with like the little clues and most of the movie, by the way, is it's kind of like a cat and mouse type of thing with the Riddler, right? And there's these clues and we start figuring out more. And I like later on after that, Bruce, in a way, he kind of wants to have Selena's help, right? Isn't that what happened next? And he gives her the contact lens as well, and she has to go back to
Mhm.
the Iceberg Lounge. So this is a little bit more forward, and I just love the little technology that it has as well. I think it's so smart, it's so realistic too. He can't remember everything, so he gives it to her, and it's what is she's like definitely down there, but like the top of the Iceberg Lounge is like I think it's called floor 44 or something like that. I forgot, and we'll mention that a little bit later as well. But the Iceberg Lounge, nonetheless, what I'm trying to say is very huge, and there's a lot of shitty people there, right? And yeah, the technology's identifying things, and I love the little banter between Selena and Batman as well. I thought that was really cute. And in a way, yeah, it kind of reminded me of like Arkham Origins.
It's like Kingsman.
Oh, well, that too. I would say Arkham Origins.
Like the glasses.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I would say Arkham Origins because like the tech there was like really like thick like pads of like technology, like little touch pads here and there. It reminded me a lot of that actually, which is so funny. I feel like he pulled so much from like the games as well. Even we'll get to the big ass thing that happens later on. It reminds me so much of Arkham City. But yeah, she ends up seeing this corrupt guy, which I thought when he was cast, I thought that he was going to be like a main character. I thought he was going to be like Two-Face or Harvey Dent. What was his name
again?
That's
interesting you say that because I was going to bring up a point. Like that guy that she was talking to that, you know, was trying to flirt with her. It was like the district attorney.
Yes.
So jumping ahead, that guy's dead now, obviously.
Right.
Riddler kills him.
Yeah.
So that could lead to a future district attorney.
Right.
Hopefully last name is Dent.
Yes.
But yeah, like you said, that the Iceberg Lounge is like full of like corrupt, you know, politicians and senators. So Batman's trying to get like dirt on some of them. He's trying to like, you know, find out more of like Riddler's motivations and stuff. So and the big theme of this movie also was like rata, like a lotta, or it was like Latin or something for
a
like
lot of rata, but they were saying it wrong. It was like
yeah. But I love how he found out about it because it was like he thought it was somebody else. He thought it was like the snitch or something. But then Penguin later, like jumping ahead, like he's like, rat with wings. That sounds a lot like you.
Yeah, I know. I thought that. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
I was like, that's so self-explanatory. Like you were really like thinking hard for that.
Right.
But yeah, moving forward, they Gordon and, you know, Bruce find out there's this big plot that involved the GCPD. I don't know how much Gordon knew about it, but I guess not a lot. But apparently there was a leak mole that apparently like was an informant for the FBI, I guess, and they gave information on Sal Maroni. And there was like a big drug bust, but apparently like the drug bust never stopped. So now I guess Carmine Falcone, who played by John Turturro, was phenomenal. Like that man played that role to a T. Like it's so funny because I'm used to John Turturro playing like comedic characters. Like he played that role so well, and it's funny because like the only other like live action Falcone we have, well, the Gotham version, but also Tom Wilkinson from Batman Begins. So I feel like it's just like an iconic like gangster role, but he played it so well. Like he felt like a scumbag. Like and then when you find out more of like his backstory between like him and Selena, like he like feels like, oh my god, he was so good, like for that role. It was perfect. But yeah, so Carmine Falcone, he's like the big gangster, and I love that little line he has between like Bruce, like, oh, this funeral brought out the only guy more recluse than me.
Right.
So you can really see like this Bruce Wayne, like he's not like the Prince Charming like playboy that we see in like other versions. He's more recluse, you know, he's more reserved. Maybe they'll change that up as his character develops, so he's more like in the spotlight, especially with like the hope theme at the end. But what else am I missing?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, well, actually, like that's the whole thing. That's why there's so many parallels between Riddler and the Bat, is because, you know, the mask is the human face. It's not actually the mask that they wear. That's when they get to really express themselves. So I really felt like, again, this is like really realistic, and this is like as realistic as it gets. Really, like, yeah, I mean, the guy's like, you know, overcome with so much like shit going down and crime and stuff. So in a way, he's like always Batman, right? So like he's just like looking around even, and that makes so much sense, you know. I feel like, anyway, Christian Bale played like a very like, you know, suave, smooth type of like Bruce Wayne, right? He was very like, he had a lot of psychology behind it, whereas this Batman is like very so immersed into his role as like the city's guardian, right? That's all he cared about, right? Just for vengeance, right? He's in a way he's trying to get revenge on crime. And how can
Mhm.
you get revenge on crime when a city is teeming with it? And I felt like one of the semiotics, as you love to mention, is also the rain, and also the leitmotif, or I would say it's like probably the motif song of
Mhm.
there. Also, something in the way when they talk about under the bridge and they talk about like things leaking as well. I know I went on a tangent right now. I was trying to give you some time to look at your notes. That's why.
Well, I wanted to ask you, like, coming off that point where you mentioned that, like, Gotham is pretty much like teeming with like corruption. An interesting thing they did in this movie, which I really enjoyed, was the origin of Bruce Wayne's parents. And in
Mm,
this movie, they kind of go like Riddler leaks some shit to the public about Batman's parentage and how they weren't as so up in Boy Scoutish, as Penguin puts it, as they seem. So I think we're used to like Batman's parents being like goody two shoes, like rich privileged people that we always think like they use their money for like good things, and they try to like invest back in their city. But in this movie, they made it out to like Martha had some like, I don't know, psychological problems, and then like Bruce's dad was like trying to cover it up, and then like there was a reporter that was trying to leak shit out, and then like uh Thomas Wayne goes out to Carmine Falcone, and then he like puts a hit out on the reporter. So I really love like they made like it so grounded in reality that
right.
even like Thomas Wayne wasn't free from corruption too. And I think that was a big conflict for Batman because added so much more depth to his motivation as a crime fighter, because he even says in the movie like, um what I'm doing is my family's legacy. So now what does that mean now that your legacy has been tainted by this truth, right? So tell me what you thought about like that.
Well, first of all, I feel like that was really like that really derived as well from the Telltale games. They kind of went down a similar route with the Batman Telltale, at least from my experience. I'm sure part two, a lot of people will see that. But yeah, I feel like he became Batman. I think he's gonna realize later on, and he did kind of realize later on, he became Batman for the wrong reasons. I feel like he's very like rough and tumble with like certain people, and even his like armor is like kind of looks like all he needs is like a machine gun, and then he's set. He kind of looks like Grim Batman or whatever, that Batman that has like that looks like the Punisher basically. Yeah, so I feel like this realization, and through like later on the whole film and in the ending, he realizes he has to kind of be more different. Bad things happen to his family because of violence, right? And that's not how you're going to be the symbol. Yes, everyone thinks that within a shadow there is you, but that's not how it's supposed to be, really. They're supposed to kind of look up into the sun, see the light, and in a way you kind of see the bat. Or it's supposed to be very hopeful, and I feel like that's the beautiful thing about this film as well. His family, this horrible thing happened, and all these things kind of like these little evidences that are placed throughout throughout the film. He sees like there's a very dark side to the Waynes, and
Mhm.
and
The sins
obviously,
of the father, like
yeah, it's
as Riddler
sensitive,
puts it.
exactly,
Yeah.
and he hides in the shadows, and so you kind of have to step out into the light, right? Um,
Hmm.
and also, I mean, if you want to skip ahead, I don't know. John Turturro also, what happened with him. He was in the light as well, so it's kind of like a lot. It's revealing a lot, right? And it's also revealing a lot within Bruce Wayne as well. So I feel like everything. There's so much like hidden, like not references or Easter eggs per se, but there's so much like hidden narratology, and like just like the narrative is like very tied together, like from beginning to end, and something's called back to like the beginning of the movie, and I find that so beautiful. It's so coherent as well. It's very
Hmm.
scary. So
And I want to convey
yeah,
that.
but
But no,
continuing
that's
on,
so
yeah.
true. I think the noir aspect of this movie really like helped push a lot of character arcs forward. Um, and I mean, Batman still hasn't really been developed yet. I
Mm,
think he's still at the end of the movie. I think jumping forward, he's still kind of where he was in the beginning of the movie. Um, but now, like you said, he's come to this realization. He's had a disconnect from his past, right? His parents' legacy. He's not his father, right? He knows he can be better than that, and he knows that vengeance is not the always the answer, right? He needs to be something more. But and even like he tried to like persuade Selena Kyle because like she was so bent on vengeance against her father, who's revealed to be uh Carmine Falcone, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if they pulled that from the comics
I'm not too
or
sure
something like
because
that.
in A Long Halloween is a little bit. Yeah, no, not there. No,
I could be wrong, but I could also be right.
right.
um, but yeah, I thought that was interesting that they did that. So like, yeah, she's really like pent up on revenge because like her father, you know, uh, abandoned her and her mother at a really young age. Um, but Batman's like, you've paid enough, right? He's like, don't go down with him. Let him pay for his own sins, right? Don't pay for his own sins. So I thought that was really interesting. Like just like the character, and even like the Penguin, you know, where he was in the beginning of the movie, he's just like this mob enforcer. But now with Falcone gone, now he's stepping up to be like this really like crime lord that we see like from the comics now. Right now, there has to be a vacuum of power filled. Um, oh, tell me what you thought. Also, like seeing like I know this was like a big thing that you were probably hyped for seeing the Batmobile live
Oh
action.
yeah, that
Oh my,
was.
like Penguin's face was my face when I saw that thing. I was like, I'm not even a car guy, but like Jesus Christ, when I saw that thing, I was like, I mean, I still love the Tumbler, but like that car, it's fucking beautiful, man.
Yeah, that was awesome. Again, like a realistic approach, and everything's like about silhouettes as well, and it resembled, it's very Batman-y. One of my favorite Batmobiles is like the Tumbler and also the BVS Batmobile, Ben Affleck's
Oh
Batmobile,
yeah. Hmm.
and like this, I think is like up there in the list as well. And yeah, like everything is so chunky, even the brakes when he hits the brakes and stuff like it's so like
Hmm.
levery. I don't know, I just made that word up. Little pads here and there. That whole scene was great. That whole scene, like even the percussion from the music match certain elements that got knocked down within, like the little traffic cones, kind of like match percussion. It
Hmm.
was great, man. It was such a it was
That was
so
a great
badass
car
too.
car chase
Yeah, and then that fire walk, like when he's like upside down and like a
from the
bat, and he's just
trailer.
like walking towards the camera, and it's like I love that whole scene. One of my favorites, honestly.
Cinematography and then choreography in this movie was like top tier, like god tier almost.
Anything like that's like goofy, anything in this movie that's like goofy, it's top tier.
Top
you
tier.
know, yeah.
But
So
but yeah, so jumping forward to close to the end, so
yeah.
they eventually like they catch the Riddler, and that's where we see the diner scene from the trailer, um, and so Riddler's just waiting for Batman at this point. Like he's already gotten what he wanted at this point. He's already like killed the mayor. Gotten he's already killed Falcone and most of like the corruption. So we found out a little more about his backstory. Like he was actually like an orphan, and Thomas Wayne apparently like tried to like promote this welfare project for the city. Like it
The
was called
renewal.
Renewal.
Yeah.
But apparently like the all the corrupt like people in Gotham just took that money and it never went to where it was supposed to go to
Mm.
all the orphan kids, which is really sad. And it shows like like you were talking about like semiotics, like how Batman and Riddler are tied together. So it really shows like what Batman could have been, if he didn't if he was still an orphan, he still had all the rage, but he didn't have any of the money or the motive. And Riddler even talks about that too. He's and I think it's justified in a way because he's like, oh, like poor Bruce Wayne, orphan kid that they talk about in the news. Must have been really sad, living up in a penthouse with all this money and stuff. Do you know what an orphan really is? It's like living with rats and watching babies die. That was such a like it blew my mind. Like just like that whole scene because it's true though. It's cryptic, but it's true. Like there is a disconnect, and even Selena Kyle, understands that too. Like she was talking about like she because everybody I feel like in this movie just has it out for Bruce Wayne,
Hmm.
just because like he's so privileged. So I think he has to take that, he has to accept that fact and use that to better himself. Um, but then so going back, so they catch the Riddler in the diner scene, which I thought was a great scene because you see the whole GCPD pull up just for
Right.
this one guy. And it's so funny because like Paul Dano, like when he doesn't have like the mask on, like he looks so innocent. He just
I know. He's so
he looks like
friendly.
he could have went to like Peter Parker's like high school or
Oh
something.
no, that'll be bad. That's no way home for you.
That's where he learned all the science.
Right. I know he's so great
um,
in that role.
but yeah, so tell me what you thought like of that interrogation scene because that was such like that rivaled the Dark Knight's interrogation scene in my opinion. Just like it was so raw and bitter. but the way
Yeah.
they really like their characters like interacted. Like, tell me what you thought of that.
Yeah, like in these type of any movie or show that has like an interrogation scene, really Batman is just the audience, because always his villains, you expect this portrayal that's like so like out of this world, right? Because they're like on a different level than everyone else. They're in a way kind of insane. I mean, obviously some are really insane. Here we have this guy that is uh insane, but he has conviction. He has like this drive and this motivation, kind of the same way like Batman. And so like he was saying some things, and I kind of it kind of revealed certain things that were really truthful, honestly. And I think deep down maybe Bruce thought the same way. But it was also really like you're not really sure if the Riddler knows, because how they set it up, it kind of seemed like accidental, right? Because he sends Bruce this letter after the car chase that we were speaking about, right? Or this little post-it, and it's meant for Bruce to explode, but at the same time too, obviously Batman was like driving there so Bruce wouldn't die or get hurt. But at the same time too, if we look back, there's like little Easter eggs of like the first postcard had this lady, and then the second one or something had this doctor with like this explosion, and it was an older doctor. It was like two old people. And so in a way, Bruce was talking to the lady that was there, which I have no idea who that was anyway. I never knew about her in any comics or whatever. I was like, damn, so does she know that he's Batman or something? Like, she must be all the time up there. But
She's
like,
the
she
part-time
answers the
maid.
phone. Yeah. She answers the phone, and then and who ends up being exploded on is Alfred, right? And he's the old guy. So I was thinking like, either way this pans out, there's like a hint that like the Riddler for sure knows that Bruce is Batman. And so when he says Bruce, like slow, and he says Wayne or something like that, and it seems like he doesn't want to tell like other people that he's Bruce Wayne, but it kind of seems like he doesn't know as well.
I don't think he thought, honestly, that he was Bruce Wayne, because if he was out, he kept like talking about like how him and Batman were in this together, and how they were the one, because it kind of made it sound like he wanted Batman to be as much of a part of his plan, even though he was fighting against him. So I think he has a hatred towards Bruce Wayne. So if he's gonna kill Bruce Wayne and he knows he's Batman, why would he involve Batman in his plans? So that made me think like he didn't know like who. I think like he was saying Bruce Wayne, just to put emphasis on how much he hates him. I think he was also trying to like get a reaction out of Batman too. But I love like when he said like you're not as smarter as you thought, and then like he talks about like the grand finale that he had in store for him. But yeah, they were the cat and mouse between like him and Riddler was so good. Like just like him like trying to like stay one step ahead of each other. And obviously Batman loses that game because it was revealed that the Riddler has a bunch of bombs set up in the city, kind of like Bane did in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
But the way they did it was like even like more epic, because like, he blew up certain parts of the city where the plumbing or the flooding
Right.
was dammed.
The river came in there, yeah.
The river, yeah. So now the whole city is like underwater and shit. And you saw that shit like when they were all in the convention center, like during the election scene, and you saw like the whole convention center like filled up with, I don't know how they did that. That was like so well shot.
Yeah.
But you can literally see it's almost biblical in a way, because like Riddler was kind of like he kept talking about like Judgment Day and kind of like Noah's Ark, all the sins are gonna be washed away by this great flood. So he really like planned everything out like almost to like a T. So and I kind of wish, I mean I like that, but at the same time this is one critique I have with the movie. I kind of wish Batman had did more to stop Riddler's plan. Because I'm used to him like getting away with like like him stopping the Joker's like fairy plan, or like Bane's like occupation. So I'm again, he's still in his second year, so he's still a novice. So I don't expect him to have everything figured out. I think he's gonna learn more in his sequels. How to combat these bigger plans down the road. But I love that scene. Like, tell me what you thought of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's really weird to see Batman fail, right? But it's in a way a coming of age story, I'd say, for like a lot of people. Selina, most of the characters here is a coming of age story. So it's like interesting to see Batman fail, but he gains something as well, right? We all gain something through failure, and we try to learn through that, right? So I feel like in a way, it's great that he failed because now he knows who he really has to be. And so that whole scene was crazy because it did remind me a lot of Arkham City, where like there's that section where it's like really flooded as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about like future projects they may have going, but like it's kind of Arkham related, which is cool. But yeah, and then that whole thing in the convention center, where like he has his jabronis dressed up in that little paratrooper mask as well.
I'm mad because Riddler had more followers than our podcast.
Damn. Yes, guys. If you made it to here, please like and subscribe. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for
You don't
watching.
have to dress up like us and like commit assassinations for us, but if you want to.
Hey, bad press is good press, I always say. But that scene was cool too, because it reminded me a lot of like the Arkham games as well, like where everyone's like dressed up the same.
Yeah.
And kind of like the Joker's gang. Yeah. Yeah. So that was really fun. I'm like shocked that everyone had like these old ass rifles for some reason, like hunting rifles. I don't know, but like
I'm mad they were all like synchronized, like the uniforms all matched and shit. Like, damn, they must have went on like Etsy or.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say Etsy is like Etsy.
Like Etsy or like Party Sit. Like they must have had a discount, like a buy 3 get 1 free.
Right. Exactly. and you know what's the thing is, because that fight was like important just to show some action, but I feel like the end of that fight especially was something different. It was really revealing to Batman because he ends up like he beats everyone obviously, right? And he's like knocked down through like through a shotgun blast, which his armor can withstand a lot, right? And Selina does help him as well because he was hanging over this ledge, so sure, he gets knocked down with the shotgun blast. But which Dylan disagrees with a lot of people, but like he boosts himself like with like an injection, adrenaline or something like that. But it looks very similar to Venom. It might not be. It might just be an Easter egg.
Venom.
Right. Venom. But like they just play that song while he does that. Which is weird too, cause it kind of looks like his suit's like so integrated with tech and stuff like that. Like there's like a nice, I don't know if that's like pre-injected when he puts on the suit. No, I'm probably just overthinking it. I don't know.
That was like
just a
reminded me
whole
of Kick-Ass when Hit Girl had the adrenaline.
That's what it was.
Like
Yeah.
it's like a last resort, like when your body fails.
Yeah.
So it's just like you just need that boost to like get you up out of that situation.
Yeah, and he beats on the guy, senselessly, and then basically they kind of tell him to snap out of it, and he sees that the guy, when they reveal like his face, he says, "I'm vengeance," and that's the same words
so beautiful.
Yeah, and Batman said that as well, and that's really revealing because he's probably the wrong type of hero, and kind of like the wrong type of role model, right?
And I think that attributes to him at the end to saying that he wants to be more than vengeance because he doesn't want people to emulate vengeance. He wants to emulate hope, right? That the city will change.
Yeah.
This is a big thing with like Red Hood. Like I think Red Hood at one point in a movie said like evil can't be cured; it can only be killed. So I take that into this movie, like how Batman's thought process was like he doesn't want to be just like another policeman, just like brutally beating up bad guys and then just locking them in jail, right? He wants to inspire people to do better,
right?
To come out of corruption, to fight corruption, to help their community be better. And I think in a way that's why he when he walked through the water and he helped the people out, I think that he was trying to be like inspiring to the people of Gotham. That they don't have to live in fear. They can, like when they see the bat signal in the sky, it's a two-sided coin. It means fear for criminals, but it also means hope for people. So that's what I took away from the ending.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And also it's a baptism, if you will, like when he got knocked down and he came back up. It's definitely a rebirth of sorts. And so yeah, for sure, everything you're saying is completely true. And that's, from the very beginning, again, everything's like threaded so well, every element here. It's not just the little clues, it's really just redefining who you are as well. And so from the beginning to the end, we see this transformation, right? But yeah, going forward from that, we also get a little cameo. A little cameo for somebody who I thought like their face was fucked up. I thought it was Two-Face. I was like, oh, they're bringing Two-Face. I thought, but I was like,
it was Akram.
Yeah, I know, Two-Face. No, but it's Joker played by Barry Keoghan, right?
from
Druid.
Eternals. He
Yep.
played Druid.
Yeah.
Which
So
I didn't expect it.
yeah.
I mean, I heard like rumors. I
Right.
forgot his name at the time, so I probably like couldn't connect two and two together. But I was wondering because I knew it was the Joker. I just couldn't make out the face because it was so silhouetted,
Yeah.
and I couldn't really recognize his voice because I think his accent changed or something.
Yeah. It
But yeah,
was.
so we saw that little scene where Riddler, he's kind of like in distress because he's like, oh, my plan failed, even though you sunk half the city.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
motherfucker, you won. Take this W.
Victory.
Victory. You see like Newt Gunray there in the next cell.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, so we see like the next cell over Riddler is the Joker. I wonder if they're gonna do like a Jack Napier thing.
I
Like,
don't
with his character?
know. I don't know. I like. Well, first of all, he looked very cartoony too. I was like, it didn't really match the film. I'd say too much. I was like kind of thrown off because the film was like really like gritty, realistic, and then at the end, I was already like down with the uplifting stuff, and then all of a sudden you get to this like, ha ha ha. But
Yeah.
the voice, a lot of people were like talking shit about the laugh. I don't really care that much, but like the voice I felt like was pretty good because it sounded very like young, but like kind of creepy, like it or something like, not like, hey, Georgie, not like that, but it was like, I don't know, it's like very young, but like there's something old about that voice. It seemed like some old guy hiding behind a body, and I could tell a lot through just that little dialogue there. And maybe I'm overseeing it, but if what I'm saying is true, then perhaps this is going to be a really great Joker, because Joker obviously is very wise, right? He always has a plan within the plan too, and it's very chaotic, it seems. How is this going to lead to future films? I'm not sure. Little news after this review, we'll talk about some projects that's coming up. I just heard some major news actually earlier on before recording this that I'd like to share with you guys after our final thoughts. But that being said, what did you think about this little rendition or this little teaser, Joker?
Well, I feel like this Joker might already be established.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Batman's been doing this thing for a while now. I mean, 2 years is still enough time to establish some rogues gallery, right? So, I mean, this Joker could already be Joker by this time. Maybe that's why he's in that maximum security thing with Riddler. I honestly don't need Joker to be in this series. I mean, it'll be interesting if they show him like as like maybe there's like scenes where like he's locked up and he has to get interrogated too. But for the most part, I think we've had a lot of Joker content in the past like 3 years or 5 years alone. I mean, the Suicide Squad, obviously, the Joaquin Phoenix project. So I don't really need Joker, but it'll be interesting to see Barry Keoghan's portrayal. I think it'll be close. The closest I think will be Cameron Montague's Joker from Gotham. In my opinion, it's not too Heath Ledger, but it's not Mark Hamill, because those are very defined. Those are very distinct portrayals of that character. So I think he's trying to find like a mid ground. It's hard to emulate because Joker is it's much like Batman in a way. The role has been so defined by previous actors, so you kind of have to make your own style of it. But I thought it was interesting. I thought like the way his little tagline, like the way he threw a riddle at Riddler. That's such like a Joker. I thought he was gonna say at the end like what do you say? Well, the riddle was what do you have? The less you have, the more it's worth. I thought he was gonna say a joke at first, but he said it's a friend.
Right.
So maybe they're establishing like his rogues gallery by now.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but I want to ask you like what for like future, because I think we're getting 2 more sequels.
Okay.
For the Batman. So are there any villains you'd be interested in seeing? Even reprisals of villains that you'd like to see?
Yeah, so I've been like, I've always said, and I told you this before recording, I would like to see another rendition of Bane, but like more comic accurate, in backstory wise as well. I would love actually to see Javier Bardem play Bane. I'm like really into that. He has the face for it, I think, and I feel like Javier Bardem as Bane, another character would be interesting to see. Not Killer Croc, because it wouldn't really fit that well, I'd say. I know which one you're gonna say, but possibly another rendition of Scarecrow. Something along the lines, like if you did a movie about Scarecrow that's like very like the Joker in a way, but it's like very like you kind of get into like I don't know, like phobias and stuff like that, and maybe you get this grounded character that has like phobias of a lot or whatever, and trying to overcome stuff, but by accident he kind of like makes it worse, and now he's becoming insane. Like if you do something like that in this movie, I feel like it leads a lot too, because this Gotham that we see is very scary too. Very scary. It's very dark, right? So you could do a lot. There's like a lot that you could do. So after you tell me your thoughts, I also want to get into some news that we've heard, because you already mentioned that we have some shows coming up, and I just heard a new announcement. Speaking of villains, that's gonna be villain centered. So yeah, tell us your thoughts. Who do you want to see?
Well, I think Rob's already and Matt Reeves, I think, have expressed interest in doing Court of Owls.
Yeah,
potentially.
that'd be great.
I think that would be really interesting because the Court of Owls are still relatively a new villain in the DC universe. So I think that'll be interesting, instead of doing like, these past, rogues gallery villains, bring in a new element, kind of like how they did like like newer villains in Marvel movies like Thanos and stuff. So I would love to see the Court of Owls. I think it would make sense for this. They've already established Gotham, like the history of Gotham. So I think this could really work out. I wouldn't do it for a direct sequel to this movie. I would save it, because the Court of Owls are like a really like big threat, like on some like Hydra or like Red Room level shit. So I would say that for like a finale. But I would really love to see like a Mr. Freeze adaptation, like in this time, because like the technology is there. We've seen like the technology that Batman has, and he's in this like very like retro futuristic Gotham. So it would make sense. I don't know. I don't know who I would cast though, because Mr. Freeze, like, obviously the only thing we have really is Arnie's Freeze, unfortunately, unless like he comes back as like the Terminator or some shit.
Right.
But yeah, I would love to see like Freeze, because I think Freeze has like a very like interesting like arc, like in a way like how Riddler commits his crimes out of vengeance or revenge. He like Freeze does it out of love, right, for his wife that he's trying to find a cure for, and I think that could adapt so well on screen, especially like for this narratology like that they're trying to do with this story. But yeah, those are my predictions, and obviously, I kind of want to see like a Nightwing or Robin too, because they did mention
yeah.
Bloodhaven
Yeah.
at the end too. So maybe we could see like a young Dick Grayson, or even like a Jason Todd, or like a Tim Drake too. So it wouldn't be above. I think, well, they did kind of do Robin in the Dark Knight trilogy, but it wasn't like Robin. It was
Right.
like, the dude was like a police officer or something.
Right, exactly.
So, but I really think if they can do it in Titans, they can adapt it to big screen. But yes, going on. So we have 2 announcements. There are going to be 2 spin-off series to this. I don't know if they're going to be on HBO Max, but probably though, because of the DC universe. They had Peacemaker. So there's going to be a GCPD and a Penguin spinoff, 2 separate ones. So I want to know your thoughts on this, because I don't think we really need these series. It's like watching Gotham like all over again.
Yeah.
But I think this is gonna be like Penguin's like rise to power, and then like just the GCPD. Like, I don't know, maybe they're like solving crimes, or they're trying to like how maybe we could see like their perspective, why they hate Batman so much, like leading up to this film. But tell me your thoughts on it. I want to know what you think for these.
Well, Falcone is down, right? He's been killed, and at the end of the film, the city's flooded, and a penguin thrives by swimming, right? And so we see that shot of Colin Farrell's penguin looking out. So I feel like it makes sense to go down this route. I don't know what you'll introduce, because if you do a show about Penguin, you're gonna start. You can't do a show about like somebody like loving to kill and you can't really relate or something like that, I'd say it'll probably be akin to like the show that's on Stars called Power. It could be something like that, like where it's like a lot of crime, and they're like shitty people, but you kind of like vibe with them for some reason, and especially his personality as well. You kind of like him, but
so
he's
like Sopranos or something.
Yeah,
like that.
and he's not going to be in the line of like Peacemaker was. Like, you thought he was like this villain, but you kind of sympathize so much that you love him now. And I think you'll kind of like, he's so bad that he's good. You kind of love to hate him in a way. I feel like that's what's going to happen. And And for the Gotham thing, yeah, just rewatch. No, that show was so shitty. I hated that show, Gotham. I really did. But I mean, I think
I mean, it could be about Gordon. Well, the
that's
Gotham was about Gordon too, but
well,
you could.
that's what I think it'll
It's
be.
basically Gotham. Like at this point, it's like
Gritty Gotham. It's Matt Reeves Gotham
Matt
Redux.
Reeves Gotham. That's what makes it different. It's
I mean, Gordon here, like
just Gotham with more Nirvana in it.
right. I know. Just put some other songs there. I mean, look, Gordon, he did good in this movie, but like honestly, it was most of Batman like doing a lot, right? So like this is Gordon's time to shine as well and kind of like overcome certain characters that maybe they're gonna have some like obscure character that they're trying to chase, and at the same time too trying to reform this GCPD as well, and maybe he'll be elected to, I don't know, for a higher up position maybe at the end, you know.
Well, that's interesting because the year one comic
Yeah.
was also about Gordon too. It wasn't just about Batman. It was about their upbringing. So Gordon in the comic was he wasn't even from Gotham. I think he was like from like, I don't know, New York or Boston or some
Right.
shit. So they could explore that with the show. They could like see like where Gordon was when he started with the GCPD and then just working his way up. Dealing with obviously the corruption in the police department, but also like him, working with the Batman. So I think that could be really interesting. I think if they were gonna do that, I would base year one for that show.
For sure. And yeah. And that makes so much sense now. That's probably what it's gonna be. Yeah. We should just write it now.
We're writing the script for them right now.
Right. We're, I mean, that's
They were just waiting for the Lunch Table podcast to review
exactly.
this.
There's one more thing too. Matt Reeves did an interview recently as well, and apparently like the sequel for the Batman will be heavily, because he wanted to do a trilogy, it'll be heavily like based on Arkham Asylum. So, and he said that it's cool he kind of want to makes it look like a horror funhouse, right? This type of gritty asylum, and we get to see a lot of characters there.
It fits the style, so
yeah, and I think that's what's gonna be. It's probably gonna be like the Arkham Asylum game, like, but not so much like Joker heavy, or maybe it is. I don't know. It depends on the history they have, but apparently that's what it's gonna be. The sequel is gonna be like heavily. So probably no Catwoman here, but it's gonna be like heavily like Arkhamized. You know what I mean? And I think that's really great because long time ago Ben Affleck was supposed to direct basically an Arkham movie. And unfortunately, they didn't get to do that, and he stopped being Batman, and Deathstroke was in it, right? It was going to be heavily influenced by Arkham Origins. So this one, Arkham Asylum. And credit to Rocksteady as well. They created a product that is so iconic, right? That many...
It's been in our fan hearts for so long.
Yes. So that's cool. I can't wait for that. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, like, I that sounds really interesting, actually. But I do love that this Batman doesn't rely so much on the Justice League. I love that separation. I think Batman works so well when he's just by himself.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I loved Ben Affleck's Batman. Was my favorite Batman, but I did like seeing him like work with the Justice League. But I think when you want the real like gritty Batman stories, it's always like him working in Gotham by himself, right?
Right.
So I would love, like you said, like something like that where it's like an Arkham Asylum adaptation or something. Because really, that's just a testament to like how popular Arkham Asylum was. Like it wasn't even, I mean, there was a comic series based on the video game, but like having an adaptation directly from the video game could be really interesting.
Yeah.
Like on screen. There was another point I was gonna make, but I forgot.
Well, no, I mean, yeah.
But yeah, I really like. I know what I was gonna say. How would you rank or compare this movie to, let's say, like we've been talking a lot about like Christian Bale or Michael Keaton's Batman? Where do you rank this Batman among what's already been done?
That's hard to say because what keeps fighting in my head is the Dark Knight trilogy. I'm not a big fan of like old fashioned like stuff. I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for that, but like I'm not a big fan of Michael Keaton's Batman. I don't really care that much, to be honest with you. So like what I think primarily about is the Dark Knight trilogy and this film. And so it's hard to say because those had three. But if I had to like make them fight Batman Begins versus this one, I think I'm gonna put this one on top. So
I would agree.
I really like this movie a lot. I really do. I know that there are some like caveats to that. I know that there were some like things that didn't seem right sometimes, like in a film critic aspect. But I think I prefer this movie, to be honest with you. I really do. I think this is my top. So I actually think this is my number one. What about you? I'm interested.
It's hard because I'm living during the hype right now for it.
Yeah.
My opinion might change later on, but I think the successfulness of this movie, I could say it's a contender for The Dark Knight. I would say, and I'm not just saying that because it's a 2 hour and 30-minute movie, but I think it dealt a lot of like themes that we haven't seen with Batman before, and I think it was such a fresh and unique take. And that's so hard to do now because there've been so many adaptations, whether it's like live action or animated. So just seeing like that how Matt Reeves was able to give us a new perspective on Batman, I think was really interesting, and it really pushed the boundaries of like what Batman and Bruce Wayne can be, or even like his villains and or like his allies even. So Nolan trilogy still holds up really high in my list. Ben Affleck, like BVS wasn't my favorite, to be honest with you. I kind of wish we would have got like one solo like Affleck movie out of the way, just to have it. I don't even care if it would have been bad. Just because like we got a Superman movie, we got a Wonder Woman movie, so it would have been fun to have like at least one Batfleck movie. But unfortunately, we only had what we had. But I still love his portrayal. I think he did a good job. But Michael Keaton, I'm still a big fan of the Burton movies, even the horrible adaptions that came after Keaton with Van Kilmer and Clooney, but they're still fun. I think they're more comical. That's definitely like Tim Burton style. It really depends on the director because every director brings their own style. So really each Batman film is more about the director than it is almost about Batman. And where like Nolan was more about like pushing like ideas, just about like questioning our morality, which I thought was really interesting. And I think that's the closest. I think Nolan's trilogy is the closest I can compare this movie to. But it might actually be close to my favorite. I have to rewatch Dark Knight for the 25th time to really confirm that. But yeah, I think it holds high. This movie really holds a high list on my list of Batman films. But yeah, I love doing this review. This was a great review. Great start for our season 3. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you
for tuning in. This was a great movie. Can't wait to cover future sequels and future content for DC.
Oh yeah.
We have I think we were supposed to do a DC animated thing a long time ago, but
I know.
Unfortunately our schedules got in the way.
Busy.
But we are still planning to do it. So we're gonna do a DC animated our favorite films too, and I think we have Moon Knight coming out. Speaking of Cape Crusaders, coming in, is it March
30th? So expect a week by week review of that too. That's gonna be crazy. Again, we just finished off of Peacemaker and the Book of Boba Fett, so another series to review. We're super excited for that.
Yep, a lot of other series coming too. I think The Boys I think is coming
June.
Is it April? Oh, June. Okay, so it's later down the line, but we are planning to do it.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is coming out real soon in May, so keep an eye on that for that because that's gonna be a fun one to do. I think it's only like 6 episodes actually.
Yeah.
So it'll be a short series, but I can't wait to break down, everything we see with Lucasfilm. Yeah, we have more stuff planned out. But yeah, I can't wait to share with you guys. Thank you again. Make sure you're liking and sharing our content. We are now on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, YouTube. All our channels are out. I am planning to release our TikTok out soon.
Hopefully, maybe you got confused with TikTok. I don't know.
I gotta dress up like Riddler for that. But I mean, that man had followers, so I mean, I guess that's the
bad press
the key
is good
to
press.
success.
Yeah.
I just gotta hold somebody hostage really to get views.
Yeah, why not? While the night's still young, right?
But thank you again, guys, for joining. Make sure you're following our content, and I can't wait for the next review. But until then, guys, thanks for having lunch with us.
See you guys.